Welcome back to TA Outdoors. Mike here. I'm back out in the woods and I'm back testing some more survival kits for you guys. This time I'm going to be sleeping in this two-person survival tent, and I also have with me this 24-item micro survival kit, which was the cheapest and best reviewed survival kit on Amazon with over 1,600 4.5-star reviews, and it only costs £9.99. I'm going to be getting a fire going, sleeping out here in the woods, testing out the shelter, testing out the kit. So without further ado, let's check out the items. First things first, let's take a look at the micro survival tin. I haven't opened this yet other than take it out of its packet. Inside, we have the kit contents, a list of the items that are in this survival tin. If you guys want to screenshot that, you can. We have what looks like some instructions on everything that's in the kit, which I think is a great idea. Is there? Yeah, there's even things on how to use the things in the kit, which is an even better benefit. It's only small, but it looks like there's plenty of information on this piece of paper on both sides. Made in Britain? Yeah, this is another made in the UK survival tin. Nice to have a list of everything in there as well, so that you can double check you haven't been conned and no items have been left out of the tin. First things first, this is standing out to me. It looks like a hank of paracord. This is tied up using a cobra weave, and in fact I'm going to untie this and let's see how much length we have. I can always tie this cobra weave again. So they've burnt the ends nicely there. This is where I would normally undo it. It's that first end that's tucked in. There we go. I'd say 3.5 feet, maybe 4 feet. This is great. This could be, if you've damaged your shoelace, you need to replace your shoelace, you could use it for that. You could use it for a bow drill set and use that for the bow with a tension stick to make a primitive fire. You could use this for trapping. It actually feels like it's paracord, so it will have some inner strands. It might have the fire cord inside, I'm not sure. Next up is a candle. That's new for a survival kit for me, not seen one in a survival kit yet that I've tested. I think it's a good idea when you've kind of got a lighter and you need to light a fire, you can just save your lighter fuel by lighting the candle and using that. But you can use the wax certainly as a flame extender, so we can shave off some of the wax. I don't think it's citronella or anything. It's not scented, so it's not for bugs, but that is useful to have. This, some of you may have seen these on my channel before. These might be completely new to others, but this is a compressed towel or a kind of compressed tissue. It's like a wet wipe, what we call over here in the UK. You add some water to it or you dunk it in some water, and this will expand into a tissue, a paper towel, cotton towel about that big. We could also use this for fire lighting if we fluffed it up as it is. A very useful piece of kit actually. Doesn't take up much room as well. I've seen this in the previous small survival tin that I used. I know that this is a whistle, and on the edge here is a fire still. I was really impressed with this type in the last kit. You just push this button, it releases the striker. The striker does only work one way, so not that way. That's small sparks, but it's not that way. And then you turn it over, it's got this rough edge to it, and then look at that. Wow, there we go. Really impressed with these. I'm so glad that there's a second. I've now got a second one of these. I really like them. Some of the best small fire stills. Normally these small fire stills are really rubbish, but that is one of the best fire stills. It's soft, you'll get through it quick, but lovely sparks, and it doubles up as a whistle as well. I know I've showed it on my channel before, but if you've got a dog or your headphones, you might want to just turn them down. It's very loud. Really good piece of kit this. This is new. Oh, it's a torch. A small torch. You just push this button just here and it's a torch. I like that. We had a similar one in the other tin, but it was a red light. This is a white light and it is pretty bright, that. We will test that out tonight in the dark. But I do like that. That's totally different to the last one I used. And I'm guessing that's the replaceable battery. There's 4 screws there for the bulb, a couple of screws there, you take it out, and I'm guessing it's kind of a watch style battery, small battery. That's good. There is also a lanyard hole here, so we could hang this from our backpack or our waist, or even using the paracord as a necklace, we could carry it around like that. That is cool. Good old button compass. Can't have a survival tin without a button compass. You can generally tell how good a button compass is by how much it sticks when you move and you turn. So it is pointing north now. As I turn, is it going to stick? No, it's moving freely. This is good. Always nice to see that they don't stick. Yep, that's quite a good little button compass actually. I know what this is already. They've called it a water carrier on here. I can see kind of why. We had one in the previous video. It is a CONDOM for those that have kids and they don't want to explain to the kids what this is, but essentially using it in a lake to collect water, and then you can pop a purifying tablet inside it. Right, we have a small tin here. So this is the fishing kit, and that is really neat to kind of have it in this little tin so that you can keep everything secure and together. Let's see what's inside this. I'm going to lay it all out and we'll see. We have the fishing line here, which is wrapped up and sealed with this little plastic cover, but there's, I don't know what pound line does it say? Even better, oh, it's under the lid obviously, but I'll put on the screen now what breaking strain the fishing line is, but I like that. And then we have a small chem light. You've seen these in my video before, so you snap this there, it breaks the glass vial inside, and then you have a glowing light which you can put on the tip of your rod or stick to see if you're getting any bites when it moves, if you're doing some sort of more passive fishing, but also it can act as a light to see what you're rigging up. 2 safety pins, and then I always like it when they've got this, some fake soft plastic lures. This is kind of like a bloodworm. This one is actually fused together, where this happens when you leave soft plastic lures too long like against each other or just in a tin like that, they just go all mushy. If you're a fisherman, you'll know what I mean. When you leave your fishing lures touching each other for too long, they get all squished like that. But that would have been like a grub, a small grub. So that's nice to see. And you've got 2 fishing hooks, really important, because if you lose one, you've got backup. They have a barb on them as well, which obviously means that when the fish take it, the barb lodges in and it stops the hook falling out as easily. That's good. 2 swivels, and then 4 split shots. These are kind of like BB split shots. We call them over here split shots in the UK. They have a tiny gap in them, and essentially you can pinch them onto the fishing line and they act as your lead weight or your sinker to help these sink to the bottom of the river or the lake. And then this, I'm guessing, is for putting into the end of a stick, screwing into the end of the stick and using as kind of a fishing, like the eyelet on a fishing rod, so that the line can run freely through that and not rub and snap. That's what I'm guessing, but that's really good. That's a really comprehensive fishing kit, possibly the best one so far. That's really cool, very good. All right, next up we have the first aid stuff, and it looks like we have swabs, alcohol wipes there, some water purification tablets, quite a few. Wow, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 water purification tablets. That's probably about 10 litres of purified water, and the expiry date is September 2027. That is the Oasis ones. I've seen those quite a lot. Yep, 1 litre, so that's a lot. That's really good. Oh, this is surgical tape actually, looking at it. It's got a backing to it, so I think this is like a surgical tape. So loads of surgical tape there. You can cut that into thin strips and use that for first aid. And the final piece is a sewing kit. Again, very useful to have. A couple of replacement buttons rather than just the sewing kit itself. That's nice to see. 1 needle and another safety pin. I always think it'd be quite nice to have maybe a couple of needles just in case you drop one or lose one. There's no way of sewing. Once you've done that, you've got to make some like primitive needles, but they'll never be as thin as that. But it says, for example, the outer bag and the foil is part of the 24 survival items. That foil in there can be used, if you turned it inside out, as a reflector. You've also got a kind of signal mirror here. It's very reflective, if you guys can see that. And they've included the instruction sheet, which I guess is part of the survival items. Oh, actually it's a signal mirror. It's not the bottom of the tin. So that's good to know. You've got a signal mirror there for rescue, signalling for rescue. Question is how do you get it all back in with it being such a small tin? Okay, so that's not stuck in, that is loose, the instructions. A little ranger band would be nice to keep that secured and tight, because then you don't have to worry about overfilling it slightly. The ranger band would keep it together. I'm putting my jumper on, not because it's cold, it's very mild at the moment, but because there's so many bugs in this particular, I'm in a different woodland, and the mosquitoes and bitey bugs are pretty bad at the moment. Just trying to cover as much. I've got bug repellent on, I'm just trying to cover as much skin as I can. Right, we're going to take a look at this shelter, then we're going to look at the fire, and then there's a lot of tips that I'm going to show you with that survival kit. It's really interesting. Right, this is the tent. The Don't Die in the Woods 2-person survival tent. I've not opened this yet, it's still sealed up here, you might be able to see it. It says on the back, it reflects up to 95% body heat, room for 2 adults, it's windproof and waterproof, and weighs only 8.5 ounces. And there's sort of some tips on what it's got, some paracord, how to set it up. Thermal Mylar, it's that kind of space blanket Mylar material. Let's take a look. It comes in quite a cool little storage box. Anyway, I'll link to all this in the description. There we go, got a little leaflet. Never seen this before, never used one of these. I've seen them, pictures of them, but I've never used one. Don't Die in the Woods 2-person survival tent. Certainly compact. There we go. I'm never going to get that rolled up again, am I? Oh, there's the cordage as well to tie it out. That's handy. Right, this is it. This is shelter for the night. I couldn't find any eyelets or loops, tie-up points on the end, but this is it. It's not going to be the most comfortable sleep tonight. Yeah, let's reverse in there. It's just so cheapy. The material is that Mylar stuff, so it rips really easily, but it does reflect the heat really well. It's certainly going to be cosy, and I guess it packs down to nothing, but you'd be grateful in a survival situation to have something like this. I have loads of natural resources around me, like birch bark, for example, here. I'll just show you how well it goes up. That is what I would use. If I had no man-made materials, I would go with the birch bark. This is what I would do if I had natural material. This is just silver birch bark, and it generally, I can either scrape it in a dust pile, or I've got some really fine stuff here. I'll just show you. Like that. Then you carry on, and if you wanted to, this is where the candle comes in handy. Get the candle lit, and then you have ample, because that's going to burn relatively fast. Now, with that candle lit, I've got ample time to get my fire going if I wanted to. If this didn't work and this went out, I've then got my candle, which is going to burn for a very long time, over an hour easy. And then I can use my candle to get wet kindling to a flame a lot quicker, because, you know, even birch bark, which is amazing for fire lighting, look, it's still going to burn out relatively quickly, especially if it's wet. So that's where a candle can come in handy when you don't have a lighter, but you do have a fire still and some natural resources like silver birch bark. That's where this comes in to its own. So now, for example, fire went out, I'm really annoyed. I've got some flame here, and I can just use that, start building it up again, and then carry on my fire to try and get it going. That's where the candle is useful without a lighter. Take that off now. Another thing you could do, which I should have done, is you can fray out the wick, and it might take a spark from a ferro rod that way. Okay, here's another thing you can do to extend your flame. So I'm going to use the non-rough side of the striker here, and I'm just going to rub. You see that? These little curls of wax from the candle, and I'm just putting those into this tinder bundle because they're going to also act as a flame extender. So it just means you have to, you can collect a lot less materials, because this wax is now going to melt into this when it goes up. There we go, don't need a lot. There you go. Now it will burn a lot slower. You can see it is, compared to the previous clip where I lit it, that wax is going to make it burn a lot slower. So these candles are a lot more useful than people think. That's just a few things you can do to kind of extend your flame. Obviously if you have a lighter, you're going to get a fire going pretty easily, but they're a good backup to have. You can also melt this wax down, and if you had a hole in your tarp or material like your tent, melt this wax down, hold the tarp nearby, and as it drips, drip it onto the hole and squish it down, and it can act as a seal for your tarps or your tents if you have any holes from sticks and sharp objects. Just showing you a little trick you can do with the medical tape. So I want you to imagine I've just made a line with some charcoal that I've just burnt from over there with this silver birch. If you imagine that is an open wound, so it's kind of a slice wound, you can cut this tape and fashion up your own kind of medical steri strips. So you'd close that wound, you clean it first obviously, push your hand close to close that wound as much as possible, then grab your strips of bandage that you've cut up, and you have yourself some kind of makeshift, what we call steri strips. I think that's the brand. It looks rudimentary, but it helps to keep the wound closed once it's clean, and that way when you're moving your hand, you're not opening your skin all the time and letting that bacteria get in there. So you can do that and then wrap the rest of the kind of bandage here around the whole wound to keep it all closed until you're ready to change the dressing whenever you need to. But it's just something you can do. I have actually done it myself when I've not had steri strips on me. I normally always have steri strips in my kit. So that was just the adhesive bandage from the survival kit itself, and it just keeps your wounds closed. That's a bit of a rudimentary way of doing it, but it does work. Trust me, because I've done it. You do have to make sure your wound is cleaned as much as possible. Okay, so this little torch just got a whole lot cooler. You can press this button here and it turns on and off at the press. If I didn't spot, there is a tiny switch just here which you can slide down. It clicks and it stays on permanently. That is really, really cool. I do like that a lot, especially as it's got that little lanyard which we're going to use later. I don't know, something about that, it's just really impressive. The fact that it can do two, it can press like that or it can lock with a click. Very versatile that. Because this torch is so small and I don't want to lose it, I am going to just thread it onto this paracord and make a necklace out of it and hang this around my neck. I've threaded it on just there, hope you can see it, it's halfway. Got my two ends. What I'm going to do is lay them across each other like that. There's one end, there's the other. On this end, I'll zoom in, you can see the other end over here. Just laying them next to each other. Okay, what I'm going to do is just wrap it over and under both pieces like that, and then back through to make an overhand kind of knot, and I'm going to pull that knot tight, and that just pinches both pieces of cord together. Do the same this side, hopefully you can see it. Going to go over, under both of them, and then back through, pull tight. So now I've got two overhand knots, they're just here. If I want to make this necklace longer, then I just pull the cord so the knots go together, you see? That's as long as it can go now, it's super long. Right, if I want to make this shorter, let's say half the size, I want the neck bit to be finished here, I grab the two knots and I just pull them apart, and there, it's now a much shorter necklace. I can go even shorter than that, look. That's not even going to fit over my head, but it just shows you you can make an adjustable necklace. And now I won't lose my torch because I know I will if I don't do that. So tonight it is US military MRE military ration or meal ready to eat. This is menu 1, chili with beans. The US ones are my go-to MRE for when I really can't be bothered and know I won't have much time to cook, get a fire going. I don't even need a fire to heat the food up here. It's got a chemical heater inside, although I'm gonna have probably a fire. It's just one of those dead easy simple rations when you just want food fast and you're hungry. So yeah, I've not had menu 1 too, so I've had a few of them, but not menu 1. We've got the chemical heater ration here, which I'm not going to use, but that's how you can heat it without a fire. I've done it in my videos before. Grape flavoured isotonic drinks powder, a spoon, some cheese spread, vegetable crackers, some cornbread, which I've not had before in an MRE, and some honey, mustard and onion pretzel nuggets. Might have those in a minute. Then the main meal, chili and beans, and then the tea and coffee kit with some mints, sugar and things like that. Laxatives basically. So I might get a fire going to heat this up, I think, and get rid of the bugs. So for fire I'm using this, which is a cheapo folding stove, because I don't want to have one on the forest floor after last week's video. If you guys want to see that, we had the fire brigade called out. Well, I called the fire brigade out. That was interesting. Just folds out like that. Easy, simple. Little grate at the bottom. Ash pan as well to catch all the hot coals. Goes in like that. And then a grill on the top if I want to just rest a cup on there, or food or whatever. Have the fire in the box. Everything's protected. I'm just digging. I'm actually going to have the fire here, where a bit close to the shelter, but not for heat or warmth, because obviously it's still back end of summer. But there's a little bit of a dip here. There's lots of grass here, but it's green grass. It's not dry dead stuff that will go up like a tinderbox, like the pine needles were where I've been filming over there. There's a lot less bugs in this section, so I'm definitely going to have it here. But also because of this dip, the water has been sitting here. And this is soaking wet, which, to be honest, is what I would like if I'm going to have a fire in an area like this. It's on wet ground. It's one of the first things I check for. Where's the wet areas? I've scooped all the leaves out the way, the dry leaves, and I've found a nice wet base. And it goes down. I've dug a stick down as well, so that's good. We have water there somewhere. That's a bit too green still when it does that and holds on. It's going to smoke. Need clean break. I'm just creating a raft. This is a mixture of pine. This light as wood is Scots pine, burns really well, and then silver birch there as well. So two really good trees that burn very well, both very resinous. So I make a little raft by opening that flap there, and then the hot embers that drop down from these twigs when they're lit will light the twigs below them. There's loads of airflow, and then it should have a hotbed of coals to just continue adding sticks this way in. This is cool. This is the honeysuckle vine. It's growing up this small silver birch sapling, but you can see the bark is kind of flaky and you can peel it off in strips. It takes a while, but if you harvest enough of this, you can actually scrumple it up into a ball like this and buff it, what's called buffing it. Rub it in your hands, buff it up, fluff it basically, in simple terms, and you can make yourself a tinder bundle. So we might actually start a fire this way we'll give it a go. You can hear the geese in the air, you might be able to hear them. Like that. If we get enough of this, we might be able to light it this way. Comes off in lovely big strips sometimes. Like that. But it's so dry. Normally I find a lot of this in winter and it's soaking wet. It's handy for a bow drill to make a tinder bundle. Something you can do is actually use the tin itself if you've got wet ground to hold your tinder in. For example, here's my honeysuckle, little tiny strips of birch bark as well. Just going to hold it in the tin there, light it over here, and then hopefully lift it over there. We will see. There we go. Get those twigs on. It's not burning too well. It's a bit more of a kind of what's the word? It's better honeysuckle in a tinder bundle that's from a bow drill. Yeah, see, it goes out. So what we need to do is get a bit more birch bark, I think. Right, here we go. More birch bark. There we go. Just need some of this stuff to light. Don't try that at home, folks. A bit more. Now we get some twigs in there. Yeah, don't pick up fire at home. I've done that a few times. Little tip with the MREs when you're heating them up and boiling them in water like this is I fold them, I flatten them out, I make them horizontal, then I fold them in the cup, and that way if you had it vertical it'd be sticking up about this far. Then the flame starts to burn the actual packaging itself. So I tend to put them down a bit and get them as much in the cup as possible so the flame doesn't burn them. While that's boiling away, you're going to have some of the honey mustard and onion nuggets. Those are actually really nice. As well as the vegetable cracker. The cheese spread I should be putting on this right now. Didn't open very well, but a bit of cheese. I'm going to put the cheese spread in the chili as well, but cheese spread on the cracker. The sun is setting in 10 minutes. Camera's boosted up on the settings before it starts to get grainy and I get the camera light out. But yeah, after that time we can test out the little torch in the dark and see how it is. I hope you are enjoying this series. You seem to be. The first kind of 2-3 episodes. You guys, some great feedback. You seem to really enjoy it. So I'll put a link in the description to the survival kit testing overnight videos. I tried to do at least an overnight for all of them. I've seen there's multi-day kits out there, so we could have some multi-day overnights coming up as well. I have 6 kits I think at home, really unique ones, all kind of different with similarities, but a lot of them are really unique. They are going to roll out over the next few weeks. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Also got a build coming. It's been a while. We've got one of those coming on the channel, so if you enjoy the Viking house, Saxon house, things like that, keep an eye out. There is something coming, hopefully before Christmas actually, and it's going to be with Dad. All sorts going on. Pigeons are coming into roost. I haven't brought my bivvy bag with me tonight because I figure this is like a sealed, it's sealed from the top and sealed from the bottom, so I don't really need my bivvy bag or sleeping pad. I'm going to go without. It's so spongy, this ground. That is nice. That's really good. I'm going to order some more MREs from different countries. You guys came up with some great suggestions on the last videos. That's pretty good. It's pitch black in there. You can see a good, I'd say 10, 12, 14 feet in front of you with this. Maybe more. For something so small, I am quite impressed with it. I wanted to show you guys something with the torch that's quite a good thing, I thought. So I'll try it in here. It's getting dark, but it's not fully dark yet. But I mean, you can see how bright this thing is. It is super bright for a tiny little torch, but it's quite a direct light there. You can see the actual beam. So if you're reading at night or reading a map or something like that, it might be a bit harsh. Or if you wanted some sort of kind of night light, I've noticed with the packaging it's not fully transparent, it's kind of clouded. So you could drop the light in here like that, and then it takes away that harsh light, and it's kind of much more of a diffused light. It's actually reflecting off the back of the packaging as well. So you could hang this up, and look, it lights the whole tent. That's pretty cool. Just by, I can still hold the cord here and it can just hang. Or if you wanted to find your tent at night, you could hang that in a branch. Something different anyway. Well, it's not cozy, but it will do for 24 hours. Obviously it's super cheap material, very flimsy, easy to pierce, but it will bounce my body heat back quite a lot. So it would be good in cold conditions, reflecting the heat of the fire. If you had the fire at the right entrance, you could open it up, you could cut it, to be fair, along one edge, and you could turn it into a Mylar blanket, like a tarp or something. But I think there's going to be a lot of condensation on this. I'm going to get as comfy as I can and try and get some sleep, so I think I'm going to wake up quite a lot tonight. So if anything happens, I'll let you know, and I'll catch you guys in the morning. Good morning, and it's a very still, calm morning. A little bit of a breeze, but the odd gust of wind is coming through. But I was surprised there was barely any condensation on the inside. And thinking about it, it's kind of not like a tent really, because it's open at both ends. There's tons of airflow, so there's not really much sealed space for condensation to build up, like when you're zipped in a tent. I would say when the breeze did pick up, it flaps a bit and makes that kind of crinkly sound, which here comes a gust, which yeah, wasn't it would wake me up every now and then. I think in strong winds this would be, without any tie out points, this would be this would struggle. This material is very easy to rip. So I can see the practicality of it from a survival point of view. If you need to do a quick last minute overnight, you know, in last ditch, you've got barely any gear with you, you just need to bug out or something, this is ideal. It's so small, it's the size of a Coke can, a Coca-Cola can, you know, like a small beer can. So I can see from that point of view why it would be practical. Long term though, no. Just collected some resources to light the fire, and I'm going to light it with the compressed towel, but I'm going to now pull this apart and you can kind of see how it's compressed. So I'm just pulling it apart because this can, if we fluff it up enough, take a spark and we'll light our fire this way, potentially. It might, I've done it before, it might struggle. I've not done it with this type of paper towel before. So this is going to be a flash tinder. If it does go up, it's going to go up very, very quickly. What I do have is the candle. Oh, there we go, it does burn. See, that's what I would do, candle. But it's actually burning slower than I thought. So we might. I'm going to get the candle there anyway. Light this side. It's struggling now. But that, to be fair, that is where this candle comes in really handy. And we're away. So I'm not going to be using the US MRE coffee. Those that know that the instant coffees in any MRE is terrible at best. I mean, it's good if you've got no coffee at all and you need something. But I've got some better coffee today. This is sent to me from the guys over at Contact Coffee. This is their Battle Prep coffee. They do, I think, a red on as well, which is like a 5 out of 5. This is their mid-range 3 out of 5 strength. But it's a bag. It's coffee in a bag, like a tea bag. So you just open it. I first tried this coffee from my friend Nick, who is ex-Royal Marines. You guys will probably remember him from my videos that I did with him last year, I think it was. I'll link it in the description below. But Nick had the Contact Coffee, and it was awesome. He let me try it, and it was really nice stuff. This is Brazil, Latin America, and Vietnam. And you just infuse it in a cup for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're good to go. You can add milk if you want to, or you can just have it black. Now it's the ultimate challenge. Will it fold up back into its small case? Probably not. Oh, we did it. Don't die in the woods, 2-person survival tent. Got it back in the packet, yes. pretty much. Right, I'm packed up, I'm ready to go back. I'll put the price up for the tent. I can't remember what I paid for it. I don't think it was that much, but the price will be up here somewhere on the screen. I think for what its purpose is for, it's actually all right. It is just basically a Mylar blanket, space blanket, that has thermal properties, will help to radiate and bounce the heat, reflect it essentially back onto your body to keep you alive, really, keep your core body temperature up. That's its sole purpose. But because it's sealed and designed in a triangle kind of shape to be set up, it also can help protect you from the rain and the wet, as well as the wind a little bit. However, it is Mylar material, which means it's very, very fragile. It's prone to ripping. Any sticks or anything like that that's sharp, it just punches a hole in it. So anyone who's used Mylar will know that. But the purpose and the fact that it compresses so small, I think is actually quite useful. Personally, you could keep it in a car kit, you could keep it in the side pocket of your backpack. It really doesn't weigh much at all. It's an item that is, I think, quite a good thing to have as a backup to your main shelter, be it a heavy duty tarp or good quality tarp or a decent tent. That should be your main shelter. That's a good backup, that small thing. I would have liked to have seen some tie-out points on it and the corners, just a little bit reinforced. It wouldn't have added too much weight, but it would have made it so much easier to peg out and tie out. The tin itself, what can I say? I mean, I can see why it is the best reviewed tin for £9.99 on Amazon. It has a lot of what I've used before, but some great additional pieces of equipment. I really like the fishing kit in it. I do think that is decent. For what you get in such a tiny tin, I do like the little tin that's got a slidable lid, as opposed to it being inside here as well, so that when you pull things out of here, or your fishing kit, which is generally really small stuff, goes everywhere. To have it in a separate tin, inside this tin, I think is genius, really good. It's always nice to see some imitation lures, some kind of soft plastic lures. I really like that. Nice to have two of everything, two swivels, two fishing hooks. The fishing line, I would say £8 is decent, but I would probably go heavier. I know that it means the lighter the line, the more chance of you catching kind of smaller fish or not spooking fish away. But I would say £10 would be nicer. It just means that if a bigger fish did take the bait, you've got more of a chance of landing it, especially if you don't have a proper fishing setup with reel, with the drag setting and everything like that to allow the fish to pull line off. If it's directly to a stick and the fish, all that tension's directly on the line and it's got no drag on a reel to allow the fish to pull the bait, then it means that you're relying on the stretch, the tensile strength of the fishing line itself, the monofilament line itself. So I think £10 would be a bit better, potentially 12. But other than that, really good fishing kit. I do like it. Paracord, always nice to see in a kit, especially 7-strand paracord, where you can use the inner strands for traps, sewing, lashing a tripod together. I think paracord is a must. That is brilliant. The little candle is a good shout. It's, you know, you could use this for weeks really, and it would not burn down much at all. I do like that. That's something that wasn't in the previous kits. Button compass is a button compass. I think it's a must for any survival kit to have a compass. Some of them are not amazing, I get it, but to have a compass as opposed to none, I think it's a no-brainer. This little thing was brilliant. I do like this. I was quite impressed with it. It's, in my opinion, better than the red light one I had in one of the previous episodes, where you twist it. And I like the fact that it has a fixed on button as well if you wanted to, or just an on and off. That was really decent. The med kit, again, nice to see some form of first aid kit in a micro survival tin just in case. The sewing kit, maybe we'll feature that in another episode. I'm sure there'll be a sewing kit coming out, and maybe I'll sew a button on or show you guys how I would sew a replacement button onto something or repair something with the sewing kit, so actually using it. And then the water carrier, it's a water carrier. It's a very simplistic thing. I'm not sure what my opinions are on those yet, on having them in a survival kit. They do have their uses. You've got a water bottle on you generally anyway, but I get it. When you're picking up that dirty water and you want to filter it, you can put it then into a cleaner water bottle to drink it. I can see that. So I can see why they put them in there. Yeah, do you know what? All in all, the fact that there's instructions on here and the instructions on the paper were brilliant. I think that was a really good touch. For £9.99, I actually think this is a really, really good survival kit. I'm going to put a link in the description to it, to where I bought it from. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. thank you so much for watching. If you're new to this series and the channel, my name is Mike. Welcome to TA Outdoors. We do all sorts of bushcraft videos, survival videos, camping, building stuff, all sorts of fun. I will link in the description below to this survival test playlist where I test out survival kits. At the end of it, I hope to be able to put together my own one. I'm going to do two different ones. I'm going to do one on the kit that I've used and take items from each kit that I really like and put together one kit like that. And then I'm going to do a separate kit, which is my own personal stuff that I would add to it to make it my best kind of survival kit that I would use. They will be out later down the line because we've got a lot more kits to test. But thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe if you want. And don't forget to check out my dad's YouTube channel, TA Fishing. There is a link in the description box below. Got to add, I'm actually using a new lens on my camera, but I haven't bought it, I've hired it because I wanted to test it out before I would actually go and purchase it. It's one of the things I've been doing lately, trying out new lenses, seeing whether I enjoy them, and then going out to buy them permanently so that I kind of own them afterwards. It's a company set up by my friend Richie, who I went to school with. It's basically where it's called Lenses for Hire, and you can hire a lens. You select which lens you want to hire and how long you want to hire it for. The lens gets sent out to you super fast, and you can then use the lens as much as you want, and then you package it back up in the box that it came in, you send it back to them, and yeah, it's just a really, really good service. And it's been great for me with my filming on YouTube on choosing the right lens and not committing to actually buying a lens, choosing the right one that I think fits, and then buying it down the line. And I just use Lenses for Hire for that. So I'll stick a link in the description below if you want to check it out. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Here come the geese. Autumn's coming. Come on.